Alright, so we got the 189 spoilers, and we're finding out what's happening to HAKARI here. And this is especially exciting because the previous chapter ended off on a cliffhanger, with us wondering, like, is HAKARI going to die? How is he going to get out of this? So let me catch you up to speed on what that cliffhanger was. So in the previous chapter, we saw HAKARI hit his jackpot against Kashimo, and with that, he got infinite cursed energy again, and, you know, he was doing his thing. But Kashimo essentially weathered the storm, and as soon as HAKARI's jackpot time limit was over, Kashimo hit HAKARI with a lightning bolt that traveled from Kashimo himself to his staff that he had on the other side of the shipping yard. And this blew a hole through HAKARI's stomach, which is, you know, as it looks, a seriously fatal wound. And at the very end, HAKARI activated his domain expansion because that's like his only chance of surviving this at this point. He needs to hit his jackpot again so that he can get infinite cursed energy that comes with the perpetual reverse curse technique to heal himself. And that brings us to the beginning of this chapter here, where it says that Hajime interprets that HAKARI's restless gambler is now in Jujutsu time reduction mode and not the probability change. The speed of the draw would increase, but the odds of hitting the jackpot will remain the same, 1 in 239 chance. So I'm an idiot. I should have seen this coming, and I didn't because I didn't take the time to go over the rules of HAKARI's domain expansion in my previous chapter review. If I did, I could have just seen that, oh, there's two modes that happen after HAKARI's jackpot, whether he hits an odd or an even number. We saw that when he hit the odd jackpot, triple threes against Charles, he went into increased probability mode in his following domain expansion. But considering that he just hit evens with triple sixes, he's not going to get the increased probability mode, but he's actually going to get this Jujutsu mode. Now, Jujutsu isn't said in the official Viz translation. It's just referred to as faster spins. The Jujutsu thing comes from the fan translation version, which they also refer to as time reduction. And it's not like a complete drawback. I mean, I guess it's not as good as increased probability, but it kind of compensates for the lack of that because he's going to be able to spin faster. And by spin, it goes back to my original explanation of how HAKARI's domain expansion works, and that's because it's based off of Apache slot machine. So as you see here, this guy is playing the game and he does his rolls by, you know, pressing the lever, and then, you know, you'll see the slot machine spin. So I'm guessing this just means that he's doing this way faster than he normally would. So instead of increased probability, meaning that he would have better odds of getting the jackpot, he is now going through the game much faster. So that way he could, in theory, get the jackpot quicker. But it's not guaranteed, of course, because, you know, the jackpot will remain the same, 1 in 239 odds, but it's better than nothing. Also, guys, if you like my Jujutsu Kaisen content, please subscribe if you haven't already. It's fine if you don't want to, but if you just need a reminder, here you go. So going further, HAKARI hits the jackpot due to Jujutsu time reduction, aka faster spins. He decides to drop Hajime into the sea because in seawater, Hajime has no choice but to either discharge his cursed energy until it's exhausted or totally shut his cursed energy off. HAKARI is totally a nerd and knows some science stuff. Okay, so that's actually kind of a good strategy. Kashimo's cursed energy has like electrical properties to it, so he's always constantly like discharging electricity, I guess. So being in water, I suppose, is detrimental to him. But also HAKARI hitting his jackpot here means that he's getting his infinite cursed energy again, along with the reverse curse technique that comes with it, and he is healing his fatal wound here. So HAKARI is safe again. And yeah, we speculated about this in the previous chapter. Like, one of the ways that HAKARI can save himself here is just by going into his domain expansion again and hitting his jackpot. And that's what he did. Hajime tries to fight back by riding on the nearby cursed spirits, but HAKARI succeeds in making Hajime fall into the sea. He then waits for Hajime to float and catches a flying cursed spirit, but he suddenly feels a strong smell and faints and falls into the sea. So yeah, apparently there's like cursed spirits around them that I don't think we saw until this point. I mean, naturally, there's a whole bunch of cursed spirits everywhere in Japan after the end of the Shibuya arc, but this seems to be more of a convenient little plot device from Gege here than anything at this point. But before we get into the fainting stuff, HAKARI says, as expected, cursed energy will end up leaking in large amounts into the sea. It seems that Hajime charged the electricity into the waters, and HAKARI survived by hanging on to one of the nearby flying cursed spirits. All of the fishes in the sea are roasted, though. But anyway, HAKARI faints due to chlorine gas generated from electrocuting the seawater. Methods to kill reverse curse technique used users is either to crush their brains or poison them. Removing poison requires operation of high advanced reverse curse technique. Hakari's background song fades away and thus Hajime thinks it's ended. Okay, it would have been nice if this was explained a little sooner and we didn't get the exposition saying that he was unkillable, because I talked about this in the previous chapter review video, that Kashimo basically knew that if he can like blow off Hakari's head with like a lightning bolt, then he would die, meaning that he wouldn't be able to regenerate it back like he was regenerating everything, and that the whole unkillable line wasn't exactly accurate. Nearly unkillable would have been better. But also poison can take care of them as well. But also with the whole reverse curse technique thing, there's levels to this game, which we, kind of assume. And that in order to remove the poison, you need to have a high advanced reverse curse technique, which I'm sure we're going to see elements of that later on in the series. I'm sure 20-fingered Sukuna has like this high advanced reverse curse technique. Maybe he can even come back from having his brain crushed. But also the whole chlorine gas being generated from electrocuting the seawater here is apparently a real thing. Wasn't aware of this because I'm not like a science nerd. I'm more of like a fiction nerd. Just when Hajime felt the fight ended, Hakari suddenly revives back. It's due to the high automatic reverse curse technique his body uses. Hakari is still left with 5 seconds of immortality and starts his non-stop attack on Hajime underwater. At the end of the chapter, Hajime uses a big technique and an explosion happens in the sea. Alright, so I guess his jackpot perpetual reverse curse technique was at a high enough level to save him from the chlorine poisoning. But also another, quick jackpot in this chapter as well. 4 minutes and 11 seconds like that, because he only has 5 seconds left here, and whatever the big technique and huge explosion here from Hajime, I guess it's like some kind of electrical discharge or something. Maybe it's his maximum technique, and I guess this might take us to the end of the fight in the next chapter, which we're gonna have to wait 2 weeks for, because we're on a break next week, unfortunately. But man, things are really up in the air here. But at this point, maybe it'll wind up being a draw. I mean, I think that would be the best case scenario, because I would like to see Kashimo stick around. I'm sure most of us would, and get his eventual encounter with Sukuna, because I've talked about this in another video, but I think that the culling game is eventually going to whittle down to all of the strongest players, and they're all going to face off against Sukuna. So hopefully Kashimo and Hakari are among that group at the end. But let me know what you think about this in the comments. Who do you think is going to wind up living here? And if you liked the video, guys, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.